Stop competing for listings. Start creating them. Stop competing for listings. Start creating them. More deals, mastermind. We win, we build, we grow. Stop competing for listings. Stop competing for listings. Start creating them. Stop competing for listings. Creating them. More now on listings.com. Let's go get more. More deals, mastermind. Woo! Stop competing for listings. Creating them.
Wow, that was fun. I don't know about you, but I really like that song you made there. Hey, Norm Mead, what's going on, my brother?
Hey guys, how you doing? Life is good. Hot
Rocking
out
and
here.
roll.
Well, it's
Hey.
getting a little cooler.
Hey, Doug, nice to see you. We'll get started here in just a moment.
Okay.
You're hot, Norm. Can't be as hot as out here. It's 105.
Well, we were 100 and see Sunday heat index was 115.
Oh yeah.
And that's when that is fortunately that's the day that my air conditioner went out.
Oh. That's no good.
We better go
Okay,
get
Kathy.
more deals, brother. Let's go. Let's see, what is it? Let's see, we're gonna get started here in just a second. It's 85 where I'm at, so I'm not feeling too bad. So welcome everybody to the More Deals Mastermind. Create more opportunities in any market. Today's topic: foreclosures jumped 21%. That's a big number. Is your market next? Is the conversation we're having today. We meet every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, by going to moredealsmastermind.com. So we appreciate you being on. We've got I think a pretty amazing little set of slides we're going to share with you guys on what's going on in the market. I always like to make this disclosure. I do not want to see anyone lose their home ever, never, ever. However, there's a lot of folks out there in distress, whether it be a notice of default, notice of trustee sale, whatever their situation is. It's I think our obligation to reach out to these homeowners and coming with empathy, and we're going to talk about that today. But we want to reach out to them, see what we can do to help them save their home. Every single distressed seller I've ever talked to, for the most part, wants to keep their home, and they want to find solutions to keep their home. They're not interested in selling their home, and they want to keep their home. So if we can help them, guide them through the process to keep their home, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. Today, we're going to talk about pre-foreclosures. We're going to dabble in some post-foreclosure stuff. And Kathy's got going to queue up the presentation that we're going to share with you guys today. So just a little housekeeping while Kathy's bringing that slideshow up. We're going to go ahead and do a Q&A at the end. And so pop in your questions, pop them in the chat box as they come up so we don't forget them. And then we'll certainly go over them, and we'll do some live Q&A towards the end. So Kathy or Ryan, take it away.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. This is one of the topics that is true and near to my heart. During the downturn of 2008, when we were in the mortgage crisis, I had canceled and helped probably well over 1,000 homeowners. I was a trained loss mitigation counselor for Titanium Solutions, where I would get assignments directly from the banks. I worked with Wells Fargo, Washington Mutual, Chase, Bank of America, a lot of the large banks. They would send me out on assignment, and I would go out and try and help these homeowners save their homes, because that's what the banks wanted to do. We're starting to see an upturn in foreclosure activity. The 21%, that's across the nation. That is not in one specific state. Robert and I are here in California. California is a little different animal than other states. But we want you to know that this presentation here is educational. We are no way giving tax advice, legal advice, and we are not experts on foreclosure or tax laws. So you need to seek out your professionals regarding those subjects. So moving forward, if I can get my slideshow going here. Here we go. So let's say your neighbor, your somebody in your database, a family, a friend comes to you and says, "Hey, I have someone who is behind in payments and they're need help because they possibly could be losing their home." Let me ask you guys, would you know how to talk to these people? And this is the participation part.
Well, I could tell you this,
Anybody?
Kathy. I think that I would certainly come with some empathy. I would come with a lot of compassion. It's not coming in hot with a commission check breath, but
Right.
more of a how can I help you achieve your goals, and that's keep your home, and just understanding the process and guiding them. Again, you mentioned we're not giving legal advice. We're not charging for loan mods. We're not doing any of that stuff. We are simply guiding them based on the information that's available, and that's called find
Mhm.
out what your bank has to say. Finding out what stage it's in is super important because the clock is ticking, and
Right.
and the time remaining is huge, and a lot of people have equity. A lot of folks
Oh,
have equity.
a huge amount of equity. I reached out to one client or one homeowner that was behind, and they actually started a conversation with me, and I talked to them a few times. They had $300,000 in equity, and they stuck their head in the sand and let it go back to the bank.
Is never a
Those are
good
those
idea.
those are the situations that break my heart.
Yeah.
But then again, they're in control, not you. I mean, you can only help the ones that want to be helped.
How many times,
Um,
Kathy, have you gone to a home and there's that proverbial Target bag, shopping bag of all the notices that they've received up on their kitchen counter? They just get the mail and put them in that bag. I
yeah,
can't tell you how
a
many
lot.
times I've seen it. It's amazing. So let's
Yeah, I have
here's
too.
here's something that's really interesting, Kathy. 39,327 properties had foreclosure filings. Let's go over some of the numbers. Let's recap those numbers.
Okay, great. We're up 21% over last year. Um, some say that we're down, and we may be down month over month, but year over year, we are above 21%. In fact, we are foreclosures have increased over pre-COVID numbers. So what does that mean? A lot of people went into foreclosure because of COVID. These are pre-COVID numbers now. So the COVID foreclosures, people that lost their jobs and everything else because of the closures and all of that, they've moved through the system. They've either remedied their situation or lost their home or sold or whatever. They've done that. Now these are real numbers that have nothing to do with an event. Let's put it this way. These are just regular numbers.
Yep.
23% completed foreclosures. Completed foreclosures mean that they've already either were sold at auction or they went back to the bank.
Yeah,
13,
those are big numbers.
13,000, over 13 housing units are affected. So what that means, and you can go by state, your title company can get you this information. There's different entities that can get you this information. But like here in California and in Riverside County, we're 3,001 homes in foreclosure.
Big
Out of
numbers.
all the homes here in Riverside County, California, 3,000 to 1.
Wow.
That's huge,
Yeah.
huge.
Big numbers.
Now, in 2008, we were 1 in 1,400. Which is like every fourth home was in foreclosure, and you can drive it down the street and see which ones are in foreclosure. Any more thoughts on this, Robert?
Well, yeah, you know what? I remember back the last time around, and what causes these types of situations is, I mean, I'm not trying to bag on New Day USA, but as an example, I see it on the TV all the time. New Day USA targeting veterans to pull out their equity and go out and do whatever they want to do. Well, next thing they know, those payments come due, and now they need more money, and there's no equity left. So I'm seeing a lot of that. We're always trying to keep up
That's
with the
sad.
Joneses. I think there's just a lot of things going on this time around. With the mortgage meltdown was really the main cause the last time around, but this time around there's so many other dynamic factors going on. I think bottom line is identify, look at the number of defaults in your area, in your market. Look at the number of trustee sales. Look at the number of activity in your market and become a market expert. This shows you right here, and Kathy, you're going to touch on this. The market's showing warning signs, and it's about the warning signs that we need to pay attention to. This is not a doom and gloom call, Chicken Little. I think Kathy, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
This is just more
falling.
pay attention to what's happening in your market. Kathy, why don't we run down these states real quick? These are some big numbers.
They are big numbers. Number one is Florida, but you also understand Florida is always number one.
Yeah.
And the reason that they're number one is because of the hurricanes. The damage that the hurricanes do to property is astronomical. Same with South Carolina and North Carolina. Indiana was surprising to me. Nevada's not surprising to me. Illinois, I'm not surprised. Delaware, I'm kind of surprised at that. And Ohio. Texas, California, I'm not. Texas, because of the mass exodus from California, the states that people are moving to, I'm not going to be surprised if there won't be a foreclosure market there. Just because of the amount of people that get there. And I've been hearing and reading articles where people are sorry they moved.
Yeah, hear it all the time.
Yeah.
Hear it all the time.
So,
I think and the biggest takeaway, Kathy, of this is just understand what's going on in your market. That's just the bottom line. I know that Texas, Arizona, California, Florida, those are the big numbered states, but you can see there's some opportunities to reach out to some folks, help them save their home in other states as well. So let's keep rocking.
And this came from Adam, and you can look it up. It was June 26th, their recent article. And you can go back and look at the top 20 because your state may be in there where you can see that there's some opportunity to go out and help people.
Yeah.
And I want to remind people, this is not the low hanging fruit. If you're going to be chasing the buck and a commission check, this is not the entity to go after. We're here to be their advocate. We're here to be there to help them. And I get this all the time. Kathy, why would you want to, go out there and work for free to help somebody save their home? Well, like I've done for many years, is because they refer me people who can't keep their home. And
a lot of opportunity to help people. And
huge
Kathy,
opportunity.
And another thing is when you help somebody save their home, talk about a raving fan. And doesn't
Absolutely.
it feel good? It feels good helping somebody stave off the foreclosure process. Also, what happens by reaching out to them, being a resource, they come back to you and say, you know what, Robert, we exhausted every opportunity. We can't do it anymore. And this is the statistics are in because there's several different stages. But they come back and say, you know what, we couldn't fix it. We need you to help us sell their home. Oftentimes, these sellers that are calling me have friends, family members, like immediate family members in the business, but they've called me, reached out to me because I was the one that helped guide them through that process. So let's go into the several different stages of the foreclosure process.
Well, in the beginning is a missed payment. And before the Homeowner Bill of Rights of 2011, a lender or servicer could start foreclosure based on one missed payment. Well, because of all the things that had happened from 2008, in 2011, the Homeowner Bill of Rights says that the servicer, the lender, the bank has to do due diligence to try and find a resolution for them to keep their home. They have to do their due diligence and reach out to them for 90 days. If they can't get in contact with them for 90 days, then they can start the foreclosure process. So that gives a little bit of time. So we don't know who's missed the payment. We only know that they're in trouble when the notice of default is filed or the list pendants is filed on a judicial foreclosure state. Scheduled auctions. Now we're down to the wire.
Yeah.
There's not much time to do much of anything. You could get a cash offer, and if you're with an investor who can close within 14 days, that's great. But you better make sure that title is clear and you don't have any liens on it, especially tax liens. Yeah. I can't tell you how many times we go to close with a cash offer and there is IRS liens that got to be negotiated or get payoffs. And we all know how quickly the IRS moves. They don't. Bank repossessions, REO. Robert, you take that one.
Well, you know what, I think there's many phases of this. Obviously the default is the first indicator that somebody's having some issues with their payments. Then the auction, when they're staring down the barrel of a foreclosure, hopefully we get a chance to take their head out of the sand by that time. But I tell you what, most of these folks just hope and pray it gets fixed, and it doesn't. It's a bad strategy. That's when it goes to a post foreclosure situation where working with the banks, because corporate sellers need great agents as well. So there's a huge opportunity in the REO space. Again, I don't want anyone to lose their home, but if you've exhausted every opportunity, that bank deserves to be able to recoup their cost at the highest and best price to their net return. And that's where the pre-foreclosure, notice of defaults, notice of trustee sales work out, but then position yourself, be ready for when they come back through the banks. We've got a lot of experience, early 90s or early 70s. My mother was a bank repo. They called them bank repos back in the day. And then they reared their ugly head again in the early 90s was the stay alive till 95.
Mm-hmm.
And then again in the early 2000s, a lot of indications going on in 2002, 3, 4, and then all of a sudden 5, 6, 7, 8, boom, foreclosure market. Do I expect it to be that? I think it's going to be a little bit more tame than that, but indications are letting you know that there is opportunity to help people save their home. In the event they cannot, you can do a short sale. In the event they decide to bury their head in the sand, be positioned with the banks. And we certainly talk about how to position yourself with the bank. So that's a little bit about that.
Yeah, early on, I was working with a homeowner, and they had 2 loans on the property. And the second was the one for closing, and it was like $10,000 short, and it was less than $100,000 loan on the second. And the negotiator for the lender, he says, I said, you're only $10,000 short. You're going to lose a whole lot more. Plus you have to remedy to the first, which they're behind in payments on the first. Yeah. So you become responsible for that. And he said to me, he says, do you have a crystal ball? And I said, no, I don't have a crystal ball, but I've been in real estate long enough to see the trends and know where this is headed. This was in 2007, guys. And for $10,000, they foreclosed on the property. They wouldn't work with the seller. They ended up losing their whole loan instead of taking whatever, $60,000. It was, the stupidity back then with these lenders was ridiculous. I pray this time around, we don't face that as realtors. They learned through that period, they needed us.
I think, Kathy, what you're going to see is kind of a reversed role. Whereas last time it was foreclosures, REO, you drive down the street and you'd see a whole neighborhood with bank-owned property signs in their yard. And then the short sales came. They got a little smarter on how to help people at least make as many steps to help them as possible. You're going to see that reverse this time. You're going to see more of a short sale market, and then you're going to see the REO market. Basically, they've exhausted every option. And if they're not going to reach out and say, I need some help here, they're just going to foreclose because the banks can't take the hit forever.
I sure hope so, because that was ridiculous back then. So the foreclosure process depends on states. More of the west side of the United States is non-judicial foreclosure, whereas the East Coast and the Midwest is more judicial foreclosure. The difference being is judicial foreclosure is an actual lawsuit. A lis pendens is filed and it goes through the court process, and it can take, I've seen it as long as 18 months. It's common in Florida, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, and all those. Non-judicial foreclosures are here in California, Arizona, Nevada, Washington, and Oregon. There may be some little differences state by state, but pretty much the procedure is the same. A notice of default is filed. It's a 90-day period. Well, I'm just going by what California is. Your state may be a little different. Notice of default filed, it's a 90-day period. It's a redemption period. They have that amount of time to either reinstate the loan, get a loan modification or repayment plan, forbearance agreement, or sell the property. If nothing is done in that 90-day period of time, then the bank will file what is called a notice of sale. Notice of sale is 21 days to auction. An auction date is set. They still have a redemption period there, usually up to 5 days prior to the auction. So those are the differences. And there may be some recourse with judicial foreclosure. I'm not that familiar with it. I will tell you, ChatGPT is a good resource on learning how to what the foreclosure processes are. I did a little research, but since I'm not in a judicial foreclosure state, I just stuck with the non-judicial.
You know what I
Any
think?
comments?
I think the best way to really look at it, judicial means you're getting the lender's filing a lawsuit, and it can take forever because the courts are involved. Non-judicial means it's the power of sale clause in the deed of trust. You don't pay, they take it. That's simple. So
Yep.
not to seem coy, but it's just that's just the way it is. I mean, everything should be. You take out a loan, you should pay it back. I get it.
Yeah.
So now this is an interesting slide. I was looking at this earlier. Default does not immediately mean auction. Kathy, why don't you walk us through the different parts like missed payment and so on?
And this is really good to be clear on, because your homeowner, your specific homeowner, does not even know what the procedure is. I cannot tell you. I'll tell you a story. Back in 2005, this was a Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I got an assignment from Linton Loan Servicing, which is no longer, but they sent me out with a loan modification. All they had to do was get it notarized and send it back in. It knocked off $50,000 off of their loan. I knocked on the door, and as I said, this was the day before Thanksgiving. So it was probably about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was starting to get dark. I knocked on the door. Both the husband and wife answered the door, and you could see they were absolutely terrified. I told them who I was. I was there on behalf of their servicer, and I have a resolution for you. Can I come in and talk to you? Well, they invited me in. We sat down at the dining room table, and they both thought I was there to move them out right then and there. And that's what they think. And I said, no, I'm here. I have a gift for you. All you need to do is go get it notarized and you can keep your home. They both started crying. Then I started crying, and they said that they had been praying for somebody to come help them.
Wow.
Those are the people that I've met. More, the majority of them than the jerks.
Yeah,
I will tell you.
There's a lot of jerks out there, and I mean, you can go on and on and on about the stories, but helping people is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
let's go through this timeline. So you got missed payments, lost MIT.
So basically, we talked about that earlier. They used to be able to foreclose on the first missed payment. Now they have to do due diligence through loss mitigation. That's at least 90 days. Some may go longer, up to 6 months, if they're trying to make a resolution, and if they actually contact somebody. I think that there may be an opportunity that where like Titanium Solutions will raise up again, where agents will go out and get assignments from the bank to go talk to these people again, if these numbers keep rising. Then they file foreclosure, either judicial, the lawsuit, the list pendants, or a notice of default. And then after that, whatever period of time here in California, it's a minimum of 111 days, then the auction. And then after, they have to deal with the investor that bought it on the courthouse steps, or the bank. If nobody purchased it, then it will go back to the bank. And then Robert, you can go into cash for keys and all that stuff and what happens afterwards.
Well, yeah, I think once it goes to auction, that means it's pretty much back to the bank, and they're looking for a good REO agent. That's when the unfortunate knock on their door is what Kathy's clients feared is this is a move out notice. We're offering relocation assistance. That's where they start ducking you. They start avoiding you. They don't. I just did a sheriff's lockout a couple weeks ago, and they said they're busy. Business is busy. There's a lot of evictions going on, and cash for keys is always the best way to go. But relocation assistance definitely helps preserve the home. So we'll talk more about that in our REO sessions. But at the end of the day, let's get them to avoid foreclosure at all cost. Either get their home sold, preserve their equity, or get them into a short sale situation. But avoiding foreclosure is always the best bet.
Absolutely. And it's better for them. I mean, the credit repercussions, and we earlier talked about VAs, you talked about the VA and these military, if they can have a foreclosure on their record, depending on their job, they could lose their security clearance and not be able to do their job anymore based on their credit and foreclosure, whatever happens with the foreclosure. Our military people cannot go into foreclosure. I had a client who was an FBI agent, and he's like, whatever you can do to avoid foreclosure for me and get this out from underneath this house, because he would lose his job.
Yeah.
It's sad. It really is sad.
And we don't want that.
No, we don't want that. So timing determines the available solutions. This is where we get into the nuts and bolts of how we can help these people. Early stages, they can reinstate the loan if they have the means to make up the payments. Forbearance agreement, it's just a fancy word for a repayment plan. Loan modification, if you're newer and weren't back in the days 10 years ago and all these loan modifications, they actually modify the loan. They can either put the missed payments on the back end of the loan or lower the interest rates. However, they can do it, but they have to have a means to be able to pay it back.
Yeah.
Refinance, that's a very slim one because I don't know of any investors right now that are willing to refinance a defaulted loan. Traditional sale, or even the 14-day online offers, Robert's baby. In the early stages, if they determine they can't keep the home for whatever reason, then they need to move quickly. And that's usually in that first 45-day period. Middle stage is where you get into that beyond the 45-day period, before the 21-day period. Middle stage, 14-day online offers works well because it's a quick sale. They get the most money and they're not crying about it. Cash offer. We know, my baby is the cash offers. Cash offers will work if they have enough equity because there's still that holdback. And we also have to be careful because some of the cash offer investors will not put an offer on a foreclosure, a property in default. Quick buy is one of them. They won't do it. And evaluate for a short sale, which we should be doing that in the early stage because you can determine whether or not they have enough equity to sell the property. Transition planning. Transition planning is huge because you got to figure out where they're going to go. A lot of these people have lost their income. So can they move in with relatives? What are they going to do? Do they have the income to rent someplace? I know rentals here in California are hard to come by, and the requirements to rent somewhere are just absolutely crazy. I do have another solution. It's not available in all states, but sell to rent. I have an investor, and if you guys want to know more about that, let me know. That will purchase the homeowner's property and let them rent it back for up to 3 years.
Wow, that's a
huge
great option.
Late stage cash offer. You may be able to get away with a 14-day offer solution or online offers, but you really run out of time. and pretty much the auction date, you lost it, sold at auction along with your equity.
Yeah.
It's gone. So guess what? You get to move.
And here's what's happening, Kathy, most of the time, is most of these sellers, these distressed sellers, are burying their head in the sand, and these stages are going by. The clock is ticking. And if you can get a hold of them in the early stage, there's some great things to happen. Sure, you can refinance to a hard money loan, but are you digging a deeper hole? I think that realistically, if you can identify a seller that's in distress, whether it be a notice of default, notice of trustee sale, somebody that's in distress, reach out to them and obviously explore those options, whether it's a loan mod, forbearance, whatever it is. And at the end of the day, if it's not available, get prepared. And I think the 14-day home offers platform is by far the best way to get the highest and best price in the shortest amount of time. And banks love it because the offers are fully transparent. So the banks know that the seller did everything they could to get them the absolute highest and best price. That's why the 14-day home offers platform is working so well when it comes to defaulted sellers. But at the end of the day, just know that they're going to bury their head in the sand. They may be difficult to get a hold of. This is interesting right here, and I can't wait to hear a little bit more. But the deficiency judgments, who owes the shortfall, Kathy?
Well, homeowners are no longer protected, and purchase money versus non-purchase money, recourse loans, and all of that goes state by state. You should know what your state laws are and your requirements. Here in California, if it's purchase money, and this was a protection way before the mortgage crisis, is that if the property was foreclosed on purchase money, whatever was deficient, in other words, let's say the loan was 500,000 and somebody bought it on the courthouse steps for 450, there's a $50,000 deficiency. On a purchase money loan, there's no recourse. The lender cannot go after him for that $50,000. However, if they refinanced or it's a second, if it's non-purchase money, here in the state, they can go after him for that $50,000. And this is really good to know, especially in short sales, because it used to be a provision where the lender couldn't go after him on a short sale for any deficiency. They can obtain a deficiency judgment. Now they can. So I'll be curious to see, because I haven't negotiated a short sale since 2016, to see if the lender is going to put it in writing that they will not pursue the deficiency, because that's huge.
I certainly hope so.
So you need to check out your state provisions for that, but it's something that you need to know, because you need to guide your sellers, your homeowners, into that. So, and how you do that is, okay, Mr. Seller, you have a non-purchase money loan. There could be a deficiency on this if we have to go short. Your best bet right now is you have a little bit of equity. So if you sell it and pay off all the loans, you have no deficiency judgment to where they can come after you. If you don't, and it goes back to the bank and it just forecloses on the first, that second money, say it's $100,000, they can come after you for it, and they will.
They certainly will. It'll be reflected on your taxes too.
Well, and that's another thing too, is it's a phantom tax. So the IRS and most states, any money that is forgiven, even credit card money, you make a deal with your credit card company, it's a cancellation of debt, and you can be taxed on it as income. So you need to be aware of that. You need to align yourself with services, a CPA, an enrolled tax accountant, or whatever that knows distressed property taxes and how to work with them and be able to help these people, because there's different provisions, and I'm not going to give tax advice, but you need to know those. You need to know them. So I would find somebody that is proficient in it and get educated. So the cash offer is a tool, not the first conversation. I can't stress this enough. Too many agents go after the pre-foreclosures and try to get them to list right away. We don't want to do that. We want to try to help them. You're going to go in as their advocate first before you try to list it. Let them come to the realization they can't keep the home. Look, Mr. Seller, we've tried to work it out with the bank. We tried a loan modification. We tried a forbearance agreement. You do not have the income to do this. So here's your options now. You can take a cash offer. You can put it on the market and we can do the 14-day online offers. They get you the highest and best money at the time. We do have time for that. Or you can let it go back to the bank and you lose a lot that way.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Those are your options. But you have to work up front to guide them through that, to reach that point.
Yeah, and you know what, Kathy, I think the biggest thing to remember is cash offers, when used with a distressed owner, that's never going to be the best offer. But
Nope.
what it's going to do is it's going to stave off the foreclosure process, because I know a lot of times it makes sense to get a listing and you're talking about the extensions and all that. But the cash offer is a tool to prevent foreclosure. And if somebody's going to do a cash offer in that same amount of time, like Kathy mentioned, you can do the 14-day home offers process, which is much better. But the cash offers are a tool. Very, very few cash offers actually go, but it's a tool to get the seller the highest and best price. So anyway, I just wanted to add that.
And that's the other thing too. You never want to promise that you can stop foreclosure.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many agents the last time we can stop foreclosure. No, you can't. You can do all these things to possibly stop foreclosure and prevent it from it going back to the bank, but you cannot guarantee it's not going back to the bank, because you can get a cash offer on the property. And here we go back to all these liens on the property. I had one that had bail bonds attached to the property. No title company was willing to insure it. It had to go back to the bank.
Yeah, that's
You're
a
going to run
whole
into
nother dynamic.
situation.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy,
Yeah.
back when I was dealing with the short sale or the housing crisis, basically I discovered that if your home had mortgage insurance, it doesn't matter how good that short sale offer was, they were going to take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the beginning, we dealt with that. The mortgage insurance was terrible.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to pay out to the lender the deficiency.
And Kathy,
well,
we
we
could,
had the opposite problem.
yeah.
The banks were not taking the offers because they wanted to cash in on the mortgage insurance,
Yeah.
and then they were cashing in on the resale of the REO.
Yeah.
So, you could have brought them a really, really decent offer. In fact, a lot of times their resale price was lower than the offer that I presented them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you've got an MI situation, you might want to.
We
there's
could do
horror
a
stories out there.
podcast. And Kathy, we could do a podcast on all the
Yes.
stories and short sale and REO. We could do a podcast just on that. So thank you, Blanca, for that. What do you got next here, Kathy?
So we need to look for the signals when you're driving through your neighborhoods, especially in neighborhoods that you farm. Look for the properties that are obviously in distress, that have deferred maintenance, that have weeds growing up, especially in homeowners associations, because they're getting fined for your weeds and all of that. Look for homes and signs that nobody's there, nobody's lived there. Go by and drive by those homes when you point them out, and see if there's cars in the driveway, if there's lights on or anything like that at different times of the day. You can pinpoint those homes and know that they're in trouble. It's not just when you get the notices. And I know that, I don't know if Campbell's on here, but like in Georgia, they don't know that a property is in default until the auction's scheduled. So they have a hard time determining who's in trouble or not. Delinquent tax records. That's a big one, because if somebody's behind in their taxes, pretty much they're behind in their payments too.
Oh, yeah.
probate and inherited properties. Those are good ones, especially if they have a reverse mortgage, because they are headed to foreclosure. If the administrator or the trustee can't remedy the reverse mortgage, they're in a situation where they can't refinance it. They're going to either have to sell it or go into foreclosure. So, attorneys, bankruptcy attorneys, housing counselors, your title partners, they can all help you identify who is in foreclosure.
I use My Plus Leads, which has always been really good for not only FSBOs and expireds, but pre-foreclosure, notice of default, notice of trustee sale. Josh Shanley has a great program called Lead
Yeah,
Deck,
I use Lead Deck.
which is awesome. But at the end of the day, reach out to them and come from contribution. That's the real message there.
And also, guys, start doing videos to homeowners. Hey, let them know that there's help out there. Your videos will start getting watched. You know, here's a solution. Are you behind in your payments? Don't wait till the bitter end. This is what's going to happen. But yet you have solutions right now to keep your home. You know, do a video on that. Okay, so you've exhausted all your solutions. Now do a video on what they can do before it goes to auction, to where they're not going to lose their home to foreclosure. And that way you capture these people and their attention, and they start to know who you are by how you're talking to them in your videos, and know that they can trust you, that you're not going to go in and just try and get the listing and sell their home out from underneath them.
Hey, Kathy, what
Yeah.
is the 14-day home offer?
That is Robert's baby. And that
We can go over that at the end. Let's get through Kathy's
Okay.
really valuable information. I'd be more than happy to open it up at the end.
Okay, thanks.
No problem.
So, and this is, build visibility before the homeowner needs you. This is what I was talking about. Doing the videos. You can do a webinar for distressed homeowners. I did these all the time, and they were in person. I didn't have the ability to do Zoom. I can only imagine how many more people I could get on a Zoom versus actually going to sit in a library or the Chamber of Commerce or something like that. And build your webinar, get your experts, get a tax expert, get a bankruptcy attorney, so on and so forth, that can give these people information. It doesn't have to be you talking. And I'd be happy to help you set up your webinar if that's something that you want. Attorneys and HUD approved counselors, tax professionals, educational content. Your database is full of people, and you need to be reaching out to them and letting them know that you help people who are in distress. Okay, next slide, please.
There we go.
Okay, lead with help, not a listing pitch. These people are embarrassed, especially blue collar workers. They made a commitment to pay back a loan. And they will keep that commitment until the bitter end, because that's their culture. They don't trust us, because we've proven time and time again, all we want is money. But there are the rare few of us that don't want to actually help people and get paid for it. They're overwhelmed, they're confused, they don't know where to turn. Robert, anything to add to that?
Well, I think the biggest thing we need to do is we need to let our database know that we're an expert in this field. We're not giving legal advice. We're not getting paid to give this advice, but you got to put it out there. You got to let people know that you genuinely care about helping people keep their home. In the event you've exhausted all those options, let's find the next solution. That's get it sold, whether it be a short sale or protect their equity before they get to foreclosure. But you need to come up with your message to your database and let them know that you're the expert. Anybody that has any questions about this scenario, any distressed homeowners, friends, family, neighbors, anybody, you're the go-to. And that's just that, you got to get the message out.
Yeah. So, and we need to listen to them before we make any recommendations. We need to find out what they want
Yeah.
before we tell them, you know, what their options are. And we got to lead them through the options. We cannot push them. So, we got to know, you know, tactical empathy. A great book to read is The Full Fee Agent. It talks all about tactical empathy and how to talk to even expireds. We want to come from empathy, because, you know, they're frustrated. We want to acknowledge their frustration. Yeah, it is very frustrating being in that situation. You don't know who to trust. You're embarrassed. You want to stick your head in the sand. You don't want to deal with it, but unfortunately you have to. Acknowledge the situation. Let them know that they've been heard. Ask permission to understand. Is it okay if I ask you a few questions so I can better understand where you are and how I can help you? Clarify the deadline. Have you received notices? How many payments are you behind? Have you tried for a loan modification? Did you try and you were turned down? Is this the first time that you've been behind in payments? Because if you go back and look at their history, their property history, you can find that some of these people have been in and out of foreclosure for years. They keep repeating the same thing. Then you review the available options. Depending on the stage that they're in the beginning, let's see if we help you keep your home. If not, okay, you got to sell. And help them to agree. They have to get in agreement with you to move on to selling their home. You can't just suggest it and say that, Mr. Seller, okay, we're at this situation here right now. I think we would have to agree that the only option, you have two options, either sell or let it go back to the bank. And I don't mean to be harsh or blunt. And I know how hard it is. And for me, it's a little bit easier because I did lose my home to foreclosure.
Talk about empathy.
Yep.
And you know, Kathy, to expand a little bit about what you're saying, I think guys that need to remember is we're agents. We are always looking for the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree. FSBOs and expires, but without a doubt, are the lowest hanging fruit on the seller tree. But when you look at the default sellers, the distressed sellers, it's a different approach. It is not for everybody, but it is certainly a good feeling when you can help somebody save their home. I like that feeling. Goosebumps, right?
Right.
But it's also a very big market where short sales are plenty. This is the way it is. And they need somebody to help them through the process that's going to guide them properly through the process.
Mhm.
But you can have you can get with work with attorneys. You can work with and one thing I like about the pre-foreclosure market, Kathy, is it helps you position for the post-foreclosure market.
Right.
Huge market. We were averaging 385 active listings at a time during the REO market.
Yeah.
It's not that I want people to lose their home. Absolutely not. But it's the banks needs representation as well. But get with attorneys and your circle of influence. So there's lots of opportunities to grow your business. This is one thing I think it's important to pay attention to. Starting with a tactical empathy. Kathy, why don't we expand on that?
Okay. You need to capture them within the first 30 seconds. So this is pretty much your elevator speech. You know, we talk about that all the time in coaching and real estate training and all of that. I know receiving a foreclosure notice can feel overwhelming. I am not calling to pressure you into listing your home. I would like to understand where you are in the process and see whether there are any options worth exploring. Would it be okay if I asked you a few questions? You're asking for permission. Always ask for permission. It makes them think they're in control. But by you asking the questions, you're still in control. But it gives the illusion that they're in control. Then we get into the questions. Have you received notice? Is there an auction date? What outcome would you prefer if possible? Now, I know this language is not what we're used to, and it's going to take practice. This is where your role playing comes in. Have you talked to your bank? Important question. Are there any other loans, liens, judgments on the property? That's huge. Do you know how much equity you have? Are you working with an attorney or a housing counselor? That type of thing. We need to know that because we don't want to be stepping on toes. Because if they're with an attorney and they have a retainer agreement, we really can't be talking to them. So we need to know that situation before we move on. And going back to the REO market and all that stuff and us helping the servicers and the banks at the REO side of it, we're also helping our neighborhoods, our homeowners, because if those properties don't move quickly, it will hinder the value of the neighborhood.
Sure.
And we need to keep that in mind because a lot of people think, oh, we're just doing it in the money. It's quick money. You're working really hard for an REO asset manager, and you're not getting a whole lot of money.
And I think another thing, Kathy, is the reason why the banks don't just flood the market is because it does affect neighboring properties. So it's
Right.
just, you'll see it more of a constant set of waves than a tsunami. One thing I want to talk about that last, you mentioned words. Your words matter. I think that there's scripts for every type of seller. You can't use a FSBO script on a pre-foreclosure script, on a pre-foreclosure homeowner. FSBOs are commission-based. Expireds are really price-driven. And notice the defaults are more, I want to keep my house. What are my options? Okay, I can't keep my house. What's my next step? So
Right.
having the right scripts is super important.
Yep. So this is where the homeowner chooses the direction. Do they want to keep the property if they can? So that's where we guide them to reinstate the loan. Mr. Seller, do you have the means to repay your loan? To get your payments caught up? No. Okay. Next step, did you make a request and lost medication for a loan modification or a refinance through the bank? Did you do that? No. Okay. Have you talked to, or were you turned down? Have you talked to a bankruptcy attorney? Now, bankruptcy, mind you, is not going to help you keep your home. It's going to slow the process down. And depending on which type of bankruptcy, and the attorney can tell you, you may be able to keep your home. But I personally have never seen anybody going through bankruptcy have kept their home. Sell the property. Can either do a traditional listing or you want a cash offer, or do you not have any equity? So now you're a short sale. Now, mind you, when you're first talking to them, you already know if it's a short sale or not, because hopefully you're doing your due diligence and you're looking at the value versus how much they owe. And if you really dive deeper into it, where somebody is really engaged with you and you think you're going to be moving forward further in the process with them, I would get with your title company and get an equity report. An equity report is sort of like a mini prelim that will let you know what's attached to the property.
And Kathy, what I tell homeowners is, when I do actually get a hold of them, you got to track and measure those numbers. You're not going to get a hold of a lot of them, but if you do the due diligence, you'll get a hold of some. The ones that truly want options. The best option, number one option, guess what it is? Call your bank. Find out what the options are and see what you qualify for and see what the remedy is. But so many of them, Kathy, don't even make the simple phone call to their bank.
No.
Yeah.
And I let them know, okay, let's get on a 3-way call with your bank. You give them permission for me to talk to them, and I'll ask them the questions.
Yeah.
Simple.
That's it.
I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Okay. What are their options? Is there a loan modification option here? They
Sure.
do have some income. Is it a possibility with this servicer, and this investor? Some of them, when we get back into the nuts and bolts of everything, you're dealing with the back end and all of that stuff. And there's some, and I've been hearing this a lot from Mr. Cooper, is they're playing hardball and they don't want to help anybody. But as these lists grow, I imagine they'll soften on that, because Here's another tip you guys should know, and this will help you, is a bank or servicer does not want to foreclose. There is provision by the federal government that they have to have 4 times liquid assets per every non-performing asset. So if they have a $500,000 loan that's non-performing, they got to have $2 million in the bank. They can't lend on it. It has to be sit there in reserves. So what are these servicers and lenders in business for? To lend money and make money off of the interest. They can't do that if they have a non-performing asset. That's why you saw in the downturn a lot of these shady back end, especially with Bank of America. You saw a lot of loans batched up that were non-performing and went off to a servicer that actually Bank of America owned, just so their books would look good. Just keep in mind. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff that you need to be aware of in dealing with these banks and trying to get loan modifications and short sales.
And Kathy, just one last thing before, because I know we're getting to the top of the hour. We got a few more topics to cover, but I think the biggest thing is just reach out, come from contribution, reach out and identify what the issues are, and let's help people. Go ahead. What do you got next year? Okay,
so here's some good news for Californians, if there's any good news for Californians, but as far as the people in foreclosures. Civil Code 2924 that went into effect in 2024 gives a provision. So a homeowner that is in foreclosure that has an auction date scheduled, if they get a bona fide signed listing agreement and the property is put in the MLS with proof and that it is being shown, they can get the trust deed sale postponed for 45 days, one time. The other provision is they get a bona fide purchase agreement, escrow's open, and things are moving forward legitimately. None of this false stuff like we did last time.
Escrow with consideration.
Yep. Yeah. The earnest money deposit is actually in escrow, and with proof of it, you can get the trust deed sale postponed for 45 days one time. So listing, 45 days, purchase agreement, 45 days. So there's opportunities here in California to really help people when they get down to that wire that I can guarantee you most agents don't know about. So pay attention, California agents. You got an opportunity here.
And learn your state record, your rules and regs for your state.
Yes. I did a little research. There's nothing, I'm not going to get into the weeds here, but there was nothing in other states that were anything like this yet, but that doesn't mean that it's not coming.
Yeah.
So, oops, that's next week. So if you guys would like a one-on-one with us, we can schedule a meeting. And I am, for some reason, we got cut off here, but you can, if you want to meet with Robert, there's his QR code to schedule a meeting, and then mine there. We can do a 30-minute strategy session to where we can go further, dive deeper into the pre-foreclosures and how we can help you. We'd love to do that. And by doing that, you get a pre-foreclosure starter kit, agent starter kit with scripts and checklists and all kinds of good stuff.
Amen. I love it. And also, Kathy, some people asked for a copy of the presentation. I put
Yes.
in the chat, I put the YouTube. As soon as this is recorded and polished up, we'll get it on our YouTube channel.
Mhm.
You absolutely get a copy of the replay today. So, so just look for that. It should be up here later today.
And then next week, well, before we move on, any questions?
Yeah, let's do Q&A, guys. What questions? I know we had some questions from the audience. Let's go ahead and answer those questions now.
Okay, I have a question on the 14-day buyout. You had
14-day
mentioned a
buyout?
couple
You mean the
times. Okay, so is that just an investor who's going to come in and buy it at?
Oh, you mean the online offers or the cash offer?
No, the online 14-day online offer you had mentioned.
Got it.
I wasn't sure what that was. 14-day home offers, I think is what you said.
Yeah, I know what it is. The 14-day home offers is a transparent online offers platform that allows buyers to transparently place their offers. It's perfect for FSBO, expired, pre-foreclosure. Really, any seller that wants the highest and best price, the transparency drives the price up to its highest point. The reason why it's so perfect for the pre-foreclosure market is because the banks want to know and proof that that seller has done everything they can to get the highest and best price that the bank, in the event it's a short sale. I'd be more than happy to go into further detail with you, but it's, at the end of the day, it's probably the best way to sell a home invented.
So
Yep,
that would
I
be a
agree.
non-commission just to help out?
No.
It's a whole process. It's a whole
Okay.
marketing system that,
Okay, then can I ask
Yes.
one more question? You gave us all this information. Are we, with all these new laws as far as contracts and making them sign that we're their agent and all of that, and you're saying give them a bunch of advice. How legally bound are we if we give them something and they get upset and we have no contract with them?
I have a hold harmless document that I give homeowners, but I do not give advice. If it's tax advice, legal advice, or whatever, I will guide them to the proper person for that, whether it's a CPA or an attorney. I will show them and guide them, these are your solutions. I'm not advising you on anything. I'm showing you what your options are. You're making that choice. I'm not advising you to do anything. I would never do that.
Yeah.
Even in a traditional real estate transaction, I'm not going to advise you. Here are your options. You choose.
I think at the end of the day, we just need to realize we're not giving advice. We're not getting paid for anything. If you're working with the pre-foreclosures, you're basically talking about knowing your options. That's a simple form. You can go onto Fannie Mae's website and it says, know your options. We want to make sure that people know they have options. Have they expressed interest in taking care of the options that are available? In the event those options don't work, we want to be a resource. We get paid to sell homes. But how you get involved in the pre-foreclosure market is to coming from contribution to make sure they know their options.
Yeah, I would never take a commission or a fee for doing a loan modification, even though that I'm talking to the bank and helping them.
Yeah.
There's a checklist, and usually on every single servicer's website, there is a checklist on a loan modification. You can download it for them if they don't have a computer and email it to them, or show them where it is, help them gather, you need this type of documentation. I would have them bring the documentation to me and I would scan it and email it to the servicer for them, or fax it to the servicer back in the day. That was the extent of what I would do. I would talk to them. They would give me permission to talk to them, and all I did was follow up. But I didn't take a fee for that. So basically, I'm paying it forward. I would say 95% of the time, a seller that is in distress that cannot make their payments is not going to be able to keep their home. And they're going to end up short selling or selling the property. So that's the reason I do that. I don't take a fee. I'm going to help you, guide you through, each step and let you know these are your options. I'm not going to advise you to sell. I'm not going to advise you to do loan modification. These are your options. Which do you want to do, Mr. Seller?
Yep. And also, Kathy, I put in the chat, guys, for the gentleman to have the question about the online offers platform. I put it in the chat. I put a link so you can check it out if you want to look into cash offers, or if you want to look into the online offers platform. Go in there and check the link. There's a 14-day free trial. Check it out if it works for you, and certainly reach out if you have any questions. I'd be more than happy to help.
Any more questions?
Do you think that 14-day home offer is going to continue if there's a lot of foreclosures and the market's going down?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments?
Well, Kathy, I can tell you, you did a great job, and I'm so grateful
thank
that
you.
you went through this. I mean, what Kathy presented today was years and years of working in this space, working with the distressed market. I mean, it was the only market for a while there,
Mhm.
and to get either lead, follow, or get out of the way.
Right.
Make sure you're reaching out to your homeowners. Sure, FSBO and expired, the best. Pre-foreclosures, absolutely awesome. Lots of features and benefits, helping people save their home that want to save their home, helping people dispose of their home that need to dispose of their home. That's the way it is. But also just looking for better ways to be helpful. So,
Right.
so share this.
Right.
I left a link in the chat with the YouTube channel. I encourage you to go in there a little later today when it's posted. Check it out. Look at our other trainings. Kathy, let's talk about next week's special guest. We're so excited.
Well, we're so excited. Larry M.F. White. Yes.
Yeah.
Many of you know who Larry is. Some of you don't. We have the privilege for him to be one of our business partners, and he will be talking about what's up in today's market and how agents can pivot and win. Because we all know the markets are changing, and Larry comes with fire, man. As
Yeah.
Norm's putting out there, he knows Larry.
I've literally walked on hotbeds of fire, hotbed of coals with Larry. Larry and I are very, very close friends. And yes, MF stands for what you think it does. All right, guys. Well, that was
God
fun.
bless him.
That was fun. Any other
yeah.
questions before we let you guys say goodbye?
Let me put the link in the chat.
Yeah.
If I can.
Great presentation, Kathy. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Firewalk. Doug did it. Doug knows what I'm talking about. Tony Robbins, cool moss, right? That's right.
Hey,
Oh, cool.
Robert, can we get a copy of the presentation?
You can have a copy of the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, and I put that in the chat.
Yeah, it'll be up on YouTube by tomorrow.
Okay.
And all that.
I was wondering about the slides. That's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, those are proprietary.
Okay.
Yeah, but thank you. But I'd be more than happy to go through that one-on-one with you at one of our other calls.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, Kathy, anything else?
No, I don't have anything. I hope you enjoyed this. If any feedback or anything like that would greatly help us. Topics that you guys want to hear, you want to go more in depth in short sales, REO, any of that's coming up, probate. We're looking into getting a guest for probate here in the next month. Hopefully we can get him. So we have that. Doug, you raised your hand. Question.
Yes, you mentioned it's probably in the chat. How often you do these broadcasts?
Every Wednesday at 1
Same
p.m.
time. Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank
Every
you.
Wednesday. And then for quick Q&A, Fridays at 11.
I put that in the chat also.
Yeah, Fridays at 11 for Q&A. So if you didn't get your questions answered here, or you want to know more about the 14-day home offer platform, you can come on Friday and we can walk you through all of that.
Yep.
And Fridays at 11?
Yes, it should be in the chat. I can repost it. Let's see.
11 a.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
Right. I'm Pacific. Yeah.
Yeah, there it is right there. Yeah, it's in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, this mastermind is more of a podcast style where we have great guests come on, share their area of expertise. We have Norm coming on. He's going to be sharing his success express. Norm, right?
I love it.
And so we're going to go into that. We've got a lot of stuff to do. Fridays are more of a no agenda training. Every Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. You just go to More Deals Mastermind. And this is the More Deals Mastermind. We appreciate you tuning in. Every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Go to moredealsmastermind.com. And Kathy, what do we always say when we close?
What do we always say?
We'll see you in escrow.
See you on the show.
Yeah.
You guys have a great day.
Do we
All right,
use the
guys.
same Zoom link
Yes.
Yes, sir.
for Wednesday and Friday?
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
All right, guys. See you in escrow.